Well, hello, hello, and it is Saturday Night is Live. We are so happy to be here with you this evening, dealing with a topic that is really right on the tip of everybody's tongue, whether they know it or not. The topic tonight is, how did this all start? Gog and Magog. Where did it all begin? Is this biblical? Is it even time? What is this? Ronnie Mann is our guest this evening, and I am so elated that you are here. Hello, brother. How are you? Welcome, welcome to the Lockhart Perspective. Saturday Night is Live.
Thank you. I'm well. It's always a pleasure to be here at the Lockhart Perspective.
Well, I'm looking at your scriptures that you've got. Oh, we've got a house full of humans, so sorry about that. But I'm looking at the scriptures that you've got for tonight, and those are power packed, just let me say. What do you make of everything? Let's just talk about this in the natural for just a quick second, as you know, as if nobody knows what's happening right now. What do you make of everything? And do you feel, as I have felt, that it's a little synthetic? Now, let me just say this. I did think that it wasn't going to happen until I saw the Nord Stream 2 situation sort of collapse. And when I saw that, I thought, oh, well, that adds a totally different dynamic, which is why I felt like, yeah, this could be contrived. And I think there's a whole lot of other stuff that's going on with it as well. But what do you think?
I'll use that terminology as far as is this synthetic, and this, because we all know what we're talking about here. Uh, as far as the current events, if this is synthetic or not, um, it that it's still biblical, and we'll see how whether this is something that is forced uh, or not is indeed scriptural. And when we see when we do come across that idea in scripture, then it's very thought-provoking and very enlightening to know that we are definitely, regardless of if it's ill-conceived or premature or what have you, that we're still on a certain track as far as the timeline is concerned that brings us to the ultimate quote-unquote end times. It is quite interesting, the times that we're in, to say the least.
Well, as you have displayed here in the chat, the scriptures are definitely coming from Daniel 11, Daniel 12, Ezekiel 38, and Ezekiel 39, as well as Revelation 20, among others. What do they all have in common is the question. And I think that the running theme right now is that everybody has had something to say about it. And, I'm going to just reserve any further comment for after we get into this. So I don't want to delay the time. We are going to just have a regular chilled conversation. This isn't anything strict or stringent where, it's going to be quiet, everybody, shut up, just listen, shut up. We're going to get this done. It's not going to be like that. We are just chilling and talking and having a good one. So where would you like to start? Would you like to start with Daniel 11? Is that where you'd like to start?
Let's just have a conversation really quick.
All right, well, come on with it, my brother.
So the thing about it is, of course, in with the highlights of current events or whatever, we are speaking on Gog Magog, Gog Magog, and we're speaking on that specifically for a reason, because I would actually like to shed light as well, on truths as well as misconceptions to this whole Gog Magog situation as far as the biblical account is concerned, and then we can tie it or not tie it to current events in regards to end time prophecy. But it is on the tip of everybody's tongue, and there's a lot of speculation on it. But what in the world is Gog Magog? What is this thing? And so people tie it to the Russians, plain as day. As far as you even see symbolism in scripture talking about the bear or what have you, and then so that is a tie-in as well. But what does scripture have to say about it is the key. So actually, I wanted to highlight Gog Magog first and foremost. And like you said, this is a conversation. This isn't, of course, we aim to learn something as we progress and as we share. Um, but this is definitely more, of let's just figure this thing out together type of thing, and shave away some of the misconceptions to get a clearer understanding of what's going on. If you can pull up Ezekiel 38, if you don't mind, I can do it as well. But if you don't mind, if you can pull up Ezekiel 38.
No, we're good. I got you right here. I tell you, we did the what was it? I think it was. Can you hear me? We talked a while ago, and we were dealing specifically at that time. We were dealing with the sons of Noah. We were dealing with the Gentiles. We were dealing with the Gentile nations, and we covered a lot of. Believe it or not, folks that are listening, we actually touched on a lot of what we're about to touch right now. So I've got it pulled up. Where exactly did you want to go?
I just want to go to Gog real quick.
Okay.
So if we're at Ezekiel 38, it says in verse 1, it says, "Now the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Gog of the land of Magog."
Where's the baby?
The prince of Rosh, Meshach, and Tubal, and prophesy against him. Okay, really? So we'll just leave it at that momentarily. And if you can pull up the interlinear, let's look at what Gog is.
Okay. Sure.
As far as the word is concerned, what the word Gog is, it's the ancient terminology in the ancient Hebrew, Gog.
Okay.
Gog.
Okay. All right. There's interlinear.
All right. Okay, go to verse 2. Pardon me.
All right.
Saying.
Verse 2.
No, just click on that right arrow.
Right here.
That grayish. Yep.
I got a baby in the house, and I don't want to be responsible for it. I love it, but I'm like, where your mama? Do she got the baby? What's the baby doing?
You have a mother,
she's sleeping. Huh? Yeah, I'm like, I love babies, but they make me nervous anymore when they're that little now. I don't know why. Oh, but yeah, okay. So Steve, just off the topic, you should see her eat, Steve. OMG. Remember how she was when she was first born. This baby is really eating. First, I want to say hey to Steve Willis and also to G. William Scott. Hello, Bishop. How are you? It is so good to see you. Sister Sonia, welcome. Remember when we used to do that stuff in the old-fashioned church? Welcome in the name of the Lord. Hello, everybody. I'm glad y'all are all here. Go ahead, Ronnie.
Yeah, so you see, Gog, it's GWG, and every time you see that Wa in the Hebrew, that Wa is usually translated to in the English to a O or a U, and in this case, it's translated to a O, and they call it Gog, but that's Gog. And click on 1463. That is the Strong's Concordance number, 1463. Right above it. No. Right above Gog. The Strong's number. Yep, 1463. All right, so what is it? So let's look at what it says. Go to the definition.
All right, so the definition says the name of an Israelite, also leader of a northern nation. This is why I definitely remember this, and I know everybody else here does too, but this is good. Go ahead.
Okay, so keep on going. Keep on scrolling down. So the word origin, they tell you it's of uncertain derivation. Keep on scrolling down. It tells you that it's of uncertain derivation because, Miss Felicia.
Yeah, I'm here.
Keep on scrolling down a little bit. Yeah, it says of uncertain derivation. And the reason why that is because it is not because it goes further past the ancient Hebrew and it goes into the Akkadian dialect or even the Sumerian dialect, stuff like that, and so they can't really pinpoint it or tie it down to anything of Hebraic nature. So they tell you, no, go way back up to where it said uncertain derivation. But yeah, that's why I wanted to state that that yeah, it is. They really don't understand what it means or what have you. So they just tell you, they just give you a placeholder, and instead, if you scroll back up just a little bit more, to where the definition was, they just tell you it's the name of a Hebrew Israel, it's the name of a Israelite. Also, it is the leader of a northern nation, because they don't have a definition to give you. So they just give you some kind of context. That is not the definition. Gog, the definition of Gog is not the name of an Israelite, but it actually means something. You have to understand what these letters are in the Hebrew. And I want to share something, but I'm going to search. I'm going to go online and search for something real quick. But Gog, and like you said, what were we talking about? Genesis 9, Genesis 10, the table of nations, and we spoke on this on a couple occasions, but this is just the conversation aspect. Let me pull up a chart real quick, and I'm going to share this screen if I can find a decent enough one.
What did you need me to do? Pull it up some more?
No, I'm going to find a chart real quick.
You find the chart, and I just want to see how everybody has been. How's your day today, and all that good stuff. Also, I want to let you guys remember that tomorrow we're all meeting up again. So if you want to hang out, we can. I got a lot of messages from people sharing with me how the moon looked in their neighborhood just recently. And we haven't seen anything over here because it's been this really thick cloud cover in my area. But I don't know. How are things looking in everyone else's area? And what's your weather like right now? We're freezing here, and I don't even know why. I know that Punxsutawney cat had something to do with it. But for us, it's freezing. I don't know. You guys tell me what's going on where you all are. It's so halcyon tonight. Very halcyon. I mean, I don't want to, it's sort of like real, how is everybody doing? Yeah, it's like really, really chill. Does everybody notice that? It does. It feels like that to me. So anyway, here we go. Here is the chart.
You see that chart?
I see the chart. Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me see if I can. Oh, okay. Did that pull? Hopefully it got bigger.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
All right, so this is not that. This is a chart as far as the Hebrew letters are concerned, and it gives you what these actual letters represent. So it was Gog, right? Gog, we looked at it. That was in the English representation for letters. There was a G, a W, and a G. Gog.
Correct.
So that's the ancient. That's the Gimel, what they call the Gimel, and that's right here. If you can see my cursor, that's the Gimel. It is the equivalent of the English G. Pull
your cursor down just a little bit, brother. Right down a little. There you go. Up. That's the Gimel right there, folks.
Boom, right here. Gimel.
No, because yeah. Okay, that's it.
Right. So what this says, it's probably blurry. I hope not, but it's probably blurry. It says a camel. It represents a camel, something lifted up like a camel, rising from its knees. Will or pride, self-will or self-pride, something to that caliber. So there's two G's. There's two G's in the word Gog. This is the Wa right here. If you can see my cursor, this is the Wa. So it was G, W,
we can't.
G.
We can't see the Wa.
You see my cursor? What are you looking at?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, we're looking from right to left. So that top line is
I see the Wa. It's
the Wa.
They call it a spell it with a V, but it's not.
They call it a Va, but it's a Wa. There is no V in the
absolutely
Hebrew
not
language.
Correct. Welcome to everybody that's coming in.
They use a V because they resurrected the ancient Hebrew language by way of the Germanic language that they spoke, and so the V was implemented. However, this is a wa, not a va. So this is a wa, and this is how Gog is spelled: GWG, or Gamal, wa Gamal. And this wa right here is representative of a nail, a peg, a hook. It's the equivalent of the word and.
So I'm going to help everybody because we can't see the cursor on this side. But if you look at the top row, starting from the right side where the aleph is, right up under the aleph, you're going to see the wa right there. Right up under it. It looks like a little T, or like a little seven, a backward seven is what it looks like. And that's on the right hand side, reading from right to left. If you guys can see that. I don't see it. If anybody else sees it, let me know, because I don't see it. I'll go out and come on the other side, jiggle it around a little bit, and let me see.
It's doing a little dance on the wall.
It's doing a dance now? It's doing a little jig?
Little dance on the wall.
It's doing a little jig on the wall? It's doing it on the wall?
Well, nope. I mean, if you can't see it, it's why it's the number. It says va equals 6, because in gematria, the y is the number 6 or whatever. So this is a conjunction where it's actually the word and. It is the letter y, and the equivalent of a w in the English, or in modern Hebrew, the equivalent of a v or a w. But it is a conjunction. It's a conjunction, and it brings two things together. It represents, this says, a nail, a peg, a hook, making something secure or becoming bound to something. So the word Gog is GWG or GOG or what have you, but it's the Gamal, the Wa, and the Gamal. And like we just stated, the Gamal represents pride, represents something being lifted up. And that letter is twice in the word Gog. It begins with it and it ends with it. And the middle letter there is and. So it's pride and pride. It's lifted up, lifted up. It's something high and mighty and something high and mighty. Like, it's whatever it is, it's double that. You know what I mean? So this is like super lifted up, super even prideful or self-will oriented, or something that is high and mighty times 2.
That's very telling in and of itself. Go ahead.
Yes. So like I said, this is just a conversation, but like, let's figure out what Gog is and why it's Gog. You know what I mean? So when we go, so I just wanted to show you that, and I'll stop sharing that. But we get the idea. But when we go back to Ezekiel 38, it says the land of Magog. So Gog and Magog, like when the MA is the letters MA in the word Magog, that is a prefix it means of or pertaining to or something from that. So it's Gog of Gog. So this is something that is super, super, super high and mighty, and and super arrogant, super prideful, super on top of everything.
That sounds like super United States. Wow, but wow.
Well,
saying.
When we look, well, they're all related. They're all related when you go through the historical genealogy, the tree. When you look at the tree and the branches, you see that they're all related. But nonetheless, this is something high and mighty and uplifted as far as being first and premier and foremost, and on top. So when you look at Meshach and Tubal, so if you're back at pull out of that and go back to Ezekiel 38.
Okay, so pull out of it and go to Ezekiel
Yeah,
38.
just hit
Sure.
back. Just go back.
Just go back. Okay, go
Yeah.
back.
Okay.
There.
Go. No, go back again.
Oh, go back again.
All
There.
right. Go back again.
Okay,
So
we're gonna go back.
what Yah is doing, he's telling the Son of Man to 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 set his face against the high and mighty one. Set his face against the uplifted one of the land of itself. Basically. It says the chief prince of Meshach. So when you look at different texts, it's Meshach right there. It says before it says Meshach, it says the prince of Rosh, the prince of
Okay.
Rosh. So
Okay.
when you look at different translations, it'll say the prince of Rosh. And go to maybe like the New King James or the King James version and see if it says that. What are you looking at right now? What version are you looking at?
Well, I pulled up King James. You know that I like the Berean, but I
Pull up the
pulled
New
up
King
King
James.
James. Huh?
Pull up the NKJ.
Okay,
Yeah,
NKJ, there you are.
great. The Prince of Rosh. See that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
So,
do.
so in verse 2, it says that Gog is the Prince of Rosh. And a lot of versions or translations say this, and this is where we get the idea that they're speaking on Russia. Because it says Rosh, and Rosh must be a Hebraic version of where we get, today's modern word Russia. So the Russian language is quite interesting in and of itself. But it's a Slavic language. It's not Hebraic in nature, but maybe way back in the day, it might have borrowed nuances from the Afro-Asiatic language branches. But this is a Slavic language branch, which stems from a Proto-European language branch, a Proto-Indo-European language branch. So these are two different branches. So that might not mean Russia. A lot of people, it may or may not be reaching.
But let me ask you a question. Let's just say, for example, that somebody is reaching. They would probably use the fact that these two grandkids need to hush. They would probably use the fact that what's north of Russia. What's north of Russia?
What's north of Russia?
Jerusalem.
What's north of Russia?
It's Jerusalem.
So
Yeah.
let me ask how Jerusalem is north of Russia.
That's what they would say. They would say that what's north of Russia is Jerusalem, or is it Russia's north of Jerusalem?
Yeah, they would definitely.
They would say Russia's north of Jerusalem.
North of
No,
Jerusalem.
from the north. Yeah, Russia's north of Jerusalem. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, that's what they would say.
Because I was like, hold on, what, huh?
Well, I mean, you know what I mean. That's what I mean.
All right.
Hey,
No,
Inger.
yeah. Now I know.
That's what
you
I'm
mean.
trying to say. But the
Yeah, I
humans
got
that are in the room with me are sort of totally distracting. But they're here for the weekend, so what can I do?
You hear me? I said, huh?
I know. But it's all good. Again, just
Yeah.
a regular standard conversation.
Yeah. We're just having a
Nothing
conversation.
strong or toxic or anything like that.
Yeah, we're just having a conversation. But you said, that's what they would say. So I was like,
Yeah, they would say that, what's north of whom? And that would be another way that they would sort of figure out what's what.
Well,
Maybe, maybe that's why
Italian.
they're saying it. Yeah, maybe they're saying, and then I've even heard people compare the whole Meshach part to Moscow. It is a stretch, but I don't know.
These I would say it's a reach.
Oh, G. William Scott, Bishop Scott says that in fact, Rosh was in the central district of Israel. I'd love for Bishop Scott to come on with us tonight. I mean, since it's just a chilled conversation, I should send you a link just for you to come and hang out with us, because it is a good conversation. Go ahead, Ronnie. Go ahead.
Well, as far as you saying Rosh and Meshach, a lot of people say Meshach is Moscow. This is the thing. It's a reach, but I wouldn't go as far to say that it's a stretch, because the consonants are the same. Moscow and Meshach. There aren't any vowels really there. It's it's the mosque, which is, the all of the consonants that we get from Moscow. So I would say it's a reach, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's a stretch. The only reason I say it's a reach though is because these are two different language branches. We're talking about as far as Russian is concerned, that's a Slavic language, and what we're reading as far as Mashak, that is an Afro-Asiatic language. So there's, the languages stem from two different branches entirely. So you really can't tie those two together. However, who's to say that they, way back in the day, that they didn't borrow from each other? Probably more likely the Slavic language borrowing from the Afro-Asiatic language, because that was the more dominant language. So I could see that, which is why I wouldn't say that it is a stretch, but it may be a reach. But nonetheless, when you look at the word Meshach, if you go back to the interlinear, the word Meshach, they don't. It says that they're the mountain people. They're the mountain people.
The mountain people, like the Caucasus people, those kind of mountains.
Yeah, those kind of mountains, but they're specifically speaking on certain mountain, a certain mountain as far as a people group, and yes, those are the the people from the Caucasus.
The Caucasus.
Exactly. At the same time, though, it is metaphorical in nature as well. Not solely metaphorical, but it's metaphorical as well, being that anybody who dwells in the mountain will be high and mighty, will be the people that are raised up, like Gog, up. People that are mighty, people that are first and foremost, that are elevated, and maybe not as far as latitude, but in stature, in prominence, if you will. And so but the word Rosh means head in Hebrew, means the beginning, means the first and foremost. So we're saying the same thing over again when we say Gog, the prince of Rosh, and Meshach. Meshach is the mountain people, the ones who dwell high and mighty. Rosh is the head, which is the first and foremost premier. And Gog is elevated, high and mighty person. So we're speaking of, it's clearly metaphorical. We're speaking on certain people groups specifically. At the same time, it is an illustration letting you know that these people are some elevated people. And then on top of that, it is constantly equivocated with the king of the north. The king of the north. You
see who got jokes in the house, Steve. You don't get to be the navigator, sister. From a man who flies, I don't think that's nice. I think I can navigate a bit. You are lost. Turn around, lady.
Right. Said the pilot, so that's important.
Said the pilot. I know that's right. The pilot said, I cannot lead. Bishop, I'm trying to ask Bernard for your email address, and do you know that it is not happening? Because he said, I don't know his address. I don't think he knows which bishop I'm talking about. Then I said, Bishop Scott, with like 5 question marks. Oh, wow. Okay, go ahead. Again, you guys, this is casual, so please don't think it's going to be all stuck up. It's not. Okay, go.
Yeah, so we got an understanding metaphorically of what's going on here, right? So this is an elevated people group. This is a high and mighty people group. This is even you can go to say, as far as the word Gog is concerned, a prideful, a self-willed people group.
Okay, he told me, Bishop. Oh, a self-willed people group. Okay, got it. Oh, a hard-headed people. Well, that kind of people?
No, because that's
self-willed? What do you mean by self-willed?
Well, the Gog is self-willed, like headstrong as far as being high and mighty. We just looked at the G, the W, and the G. and that means, the gamal means prideful, or even arrogant, if you will, something lifted up.
Got it. All right, so who are these people? Tell me who they are.
Well, when we go to
I'm
Genesis
32
9,
minutes in and I want to know. I just want to know, who are they?
well, go to Genesis 9.
Okay, let's go to Genesis 9. Genesis 9. Genesis, up the yonder, and then 9, down the yonder. There we are. Okay, and I want to do BSB because I love BSB. All right, go.
Well, it doesn't matter. But if you go down to verse 27, see, so Japheth, Ham or Ham, and Shem, were Noah's sons, and
Correct.
Noah blessed them.
Correct.
Noah blessed them with certain blessings. So verse 27 said, so this was Japheth's blessing.
Mm-hmm.
May God enlarge Japheth.
Mm-hmm.
So Japheth is the top dog, if you will. He is the cream of the crop. He's the premier.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who gets the cake and the icing.
That's right. That's right. He does. And just all seriousness, he does get everything. And on top of that, he also gets like the best seat in the house because he was literally wealthy as he is now today in the earth. And then he also gets the chance to come in correctly. And I'm going to leave that right there. But Samantha put here H4902 in Strong's. H4902 in Strong's. And it technically was Ham that was violated by Canaan, S. Whitham said. Okay, go ahead, Ronnie man, steering the ship.
So we see in so where are we in Genesis 9, right? We see that Japheth
27. Yeah.
Japheth, he is the head. He's the head. And so what's interesting is when we go back to, we don't have to go back, but speaking on what we looked at as far as Ezekiel 38 was concerned, we see that Gog is the prince of Rosh, Meshech, Tubal, and Tubal. So scroll over, use that little gray arrow on the right, and go to Genesis 10. And go right there, the Japhites, the sons of Japheth. Gomer, Magog, Madai, Yavon, Tubal, Meshech, and Tyrus. So these are Japheth's sons. Gog and he's the premier prince of Meshech and Tubal. That's because he's the older brother.
He's also very cunning. Very, very, very witty, very cunning. He really is.
So really who we're looking at is Gomer.
Mm-hmm.
We're really looking at Gomer because Gomer's the firstborn. So these are all sons of Japheth. These are all sons of Japheth, and you can call the sons of Japheth the Caucasoids, the ones from the Caucasus Mountains.
Yep.
So this whole entire people group are Caucasians in Ezekiel 38, and you see that they're Japhethites, and we're speaking scholarly and academically as far as, and now I'm speaking very just plain, vernacular, that the Japhethites are white people, the Hamites are black people, and the Shemites are brown/yellow people.
Okay, but I have to say that when I see people, a lot of people don't understand that it's also broken up by the climate. It's also broken up by climate. And I think a lot of times people see, the black people and then this people. No, the black people that they're talking about is the ones that are from the continent and hot places like Africa, whatnot, because the Shemites specifically come from a mixed climate. Yeah. So it's not a climate that's hot. Okay,
Well. See,
just to put that out there.
that's why I wanted to put the qualifier that I said that in the vernacular, because I really don't mean that. It's just to paint a very very broad, painting as far as the strokes that I'm speaking on,
Uh-huh.
like that. That's a very broad approach. That's why I said I'm saying that in the vernacular. But this is the thing: the color is a byproduct. That's really not the thing, because as far as
Well, I'm going to say it is for me. Let me tell you why it is. Because I don't think a lot of people get the fact that there is a dividing line for me.
let me tell you. Let me tell you. Still, even with what you're saying, color is still a byproduct because of intermarrying through the different nations. What we're really speaking about is ethnicity.
Well, absolutely. But I think, yeah, okay, so I get that. You're right.
What we're really speaking on is
Ethnos,
ethnicity.
of
But
course.
the broad stroke, the very broad generic stroke is speaking on color, but there could be diverse colors in one ethnicity, as far
And
as
that's yeah, okay, so but then that's when the stroke gets real broad because that is true. But I think that I need to just say this, that the Hamites are like people from Africa, people from other places, the hotter climate, because there is a distinct difference between the Shemites and the Hamites. And if
absolutely.
you and if you're not as well versed, with reading the Bible or whatnot, or knowing these individuals as for example, I am or you are, just putting it out there, you would think that they were all one people, and there is a distinct reason as to why I am saying that.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
And so that is very true. But as far as us being scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and we're all over the place, and everybody has intermingled, if you
Oh
will,
yeah.
throughout the ages, that a Shemite could have uh, went down with the Hamites, and through culture and intermarrying, and um, just hanging out with a certain people group for millennia.
Hmm.
Now you look like everybody else in your demographic or in
Well,
your
that
geographic
that goes
area.
without saying, and that's
Right,
fair.
right, 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 right. So that's what I'm saying. Color itself is a byproduct. We're talking about ethnicity. And so what we're doing right here is we're going all the way back to the very first ethnicities after the flood. And
And
the
that's
very
fair. That is
in the
fair.
very and the very first ethnicities, quote unquote, after the flood was Japhethites, Shemites, and Hamites.
Correct.
And you can, like I said,
Hey, Maureen.
the broad
Hmm.
stroke would be Ham would be black people, Shem would be brown, brown people, and Japheths would be white people. Japhethites would be white people. But what we're looking at here is Gomer, and we see that Gomer is the father of, he's the firstborn of Japheth, and he's the father of the Ashkenazis.
Right. Right.
We also looked in Joel, where we saw that Yawan, right here it says Javan, are the Hellenes, are the Greeks, and they're this is an interesting word usage, but a lot of people say they would be olive tone, tone skin, olive, whatever color that is. But people say that, they're an olive color or what have you. They're a darker shade, but nonetheless they're Caucasoids. They're Caucasians from that region, and all of these people stemmed from Japheth. So when we go back to Ezekiel 38, we're talking about Japhethites. Gog of the land of Magog, the chief prince, Rosh, Meshach, and Tubal. We're talking about Japhites. And when you look
Yes, righteous
forward,
broomstick. That
when
that
you
is the point. Yes. That is the point.
What's the point? What's the point?
Well, my point is that they each had their own location. Certainly, they did, and that is, and if you look at those locations right now, and you can say that you know, yeah, they have their own location. And if you go back that far, of course, yeah, they definitely did. There was intermarrying, and I think that Ingram made a very good point in Hosea 7:8. Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim, she says, is a cake not turned. Very good. We are all scattered, but I think that it's very important for us to hone in on a couple of things. And I know we're 42 minutes in, and I know we're going to get to that soon. But I really want us to hone in on it because it does make a difference. The understanding definitely makes a difference because it delineates who you are from who you're not, what you are from what you're not. And again, we already know that, you know, Ronnie's of mixed race. I'm of mixed race. Most of us here are of mixed race. And it does make a difference. But I think that in order for each of us to understand what we're looking at right now, we got to really, what I'm trying to say is them cats that's over there, that's in that place, that's shaped like a thumb, that ain't them. That's really where I'm going. That is really where I'm headed. The folks who's over there right now in that little bitty thumb shaped, you know, nation or whatnot, that has all of the money, that ain't them.
Well, what you're saying is off topic from Gog and Magog specifically. However, since we're right here looking at Genesis 10, but you know, since we're right here looking at Genesis 10, verse 3 says the sons of Gomer, and who's the son? Who birthed Gomer? Japheth.
Yes.
Verse 3 says the sons of Gomer is Ashkenaz. So you know, to highlight that into you know.
So it's not off topic because they right there.
Well, I mean, it's off topic of God.
But it's the fam, the fam. Not wanting to stir the pot.
Clear, but
that's what says.
It's clear.
That's what says. Oh, go ahead, Ronnie. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's clear that that in verse 3, the Ashkenazis are so listen to this. Listen closely and carefully and digest this.
Gonna digest it.
Not you per se, just in general. Ashkenaz is the son of Gomer, who is the son of Japheth. And Ashkenazi, quote unquote, they call themselves Ashkenazi Jews. You cannot be of Ashkenaz and be a Shemite.
Which is going around the corner to say what I just said, Ronnie, man.
I know. I said since you went there, let's talk about it.
Okay.
But it's side, you know, it's beside. It was beside the Gog Magog point, but since you went there, it's right there in verse 3.
Okay.
I'm emphasizing what you just said.
So you putting some emphasications on it.
And I'm making it extremely clear what you're saying. Ashkenaz is the son of Gomer, who was the son of Japheth. Japheth and Shem were brothers. So Ashkenaz cannot be a Shemite.
Thank you. Ding, 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 ding. He does it again, ladies and gentlemen. He takes Felicia's word salad and turns it into something tangible. As Whittam says, not wanting to stir the pot, then how come Asians and Persians and Ethiopians are so different of our flesh? If all our brothers, I think is what you're trying to say, all our brothers, not possible that Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 are two or more peoples. It's you know what? I think we have our sister, one of our mods are here, and it is she is into it very well. She's here. I thought I saw her earlier. I want you to put it up in the chat if you don't mind, Deb Woods. Deb Woods is really like our historian because she knows all of our playlists, and I want her to go and grab that playlist and put it there because Ronnie and I are speaking and we're just chilling. Like we said, it's Saturday night. We're just chilling. However, it is a serious note. And I think to your question, S. Whittam, if you were to look at this particular playlist with these two videos in it, it does break it all the way down to just to the anise of the anise. It breaks it all the way.
We're right here at Genesis 10. That question can be answered, and it already has been answered. Like, let's look at it. Asians, Persians, and Ethiopians. Let's just use those as the example since those are the example. Asians, Persians, and Ethiopians. Asians would be Shemites. Persians would be Japhethites, and Ethiopians. Go back, because I was reading it. And and Ethiopians would be the Hamites. So that's why they were different. I mean, that's why they could be of different shades. Go back to that question. Go back to that.
Oh, go back up. Okay, let's go back up. Thank you, sister. Sister Deb Woods. Like I said, she's spot on. She watches them. She knows where they are. I'm creeping up to the question. She's spot on. She knows exactly where they are, and she can help anybody with any of them. So there you go. Right there is the link.
It says are so different of our flesh, if all brothers. It's because, like you said, they went and they ventured off into different regions. And you got that hot region,
right?
You got that cold region, and you got
their
that
skin is
region.
made and their eyes are made specific. When we get into the whole breaking down of the regions, if you look at someone who is from a climate where there's a lot of snow, the eyes are purposely made the way they are because Yah knew that in order for them to see and look off of that snow, their eyes could not be wide open because they have to be able to adapt. So, for example, people in Tibet, their eyes are going to be a little bit slighter. People in cold areas where there's a lot of snow. If you look at snow, if you just go up to Big Bear right now or go to Mammoth Lake and it's got snow and you go out there just regular, all willy-nilly, and you just, without sunglasses, without anything, you'd be completely blinded. So Yah, in his unbelievable way, unfathomable to man when you look at it, he was able to do what he needed to do to help them be able to protect themselves. So yes, the climate does affect how the skin is. And that's the reason why you will find that there are some people who come from a different region and they live in another region. I'll use example, sickle cell anemia. A lot of the people who have sickle cell here in the United States that are of, I'll say, African descent. Let's use that as an example. Maybe they're from a different part of Africa. Nigeria. Let's just use that. They come from Nigeria. They move here. They start to live and eat the way we eat, and they start to, live in our environment here in the West. That same exact sickle cell that would literally fight off malaria, that shape of that cell here turns into a sickle. That particular cell turns into a sickle shape, and it begins to attack the body in this environment. Why? Because they are not in their natural habitat. They're not in their natural landmass. Does that make sense? So yes, you will find that the skin is different. You will find that the hair is different. You will find that because Yah knew what they needed in order for them to thrive in the environment and the location he placed them in. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. They will be different. They're all flesh, yes. They're all human, yes.
And over time, you're going to have more dominant traits to ensure that you are, maintain, self preservation, if you will.
Yeah.
And
the difference between immigration and immigration.
But the second
the
part
of it all.
But the second part of that question, though, was, Genesis 1 and 2, was there, a couple of different people or what have you. And I'm paraphrasing because you left it and I forgot exactly what it said. But Genesis 1 and 2 was also on top of that. Yeah, there's some different people. There are some different people out there, but that, that's not necessarily solely why. There's a lot of aspects as to why. There's tons of aspects as to why. So in Genesis 1 and 2, you have different people groups. You have, it talks about different people groups or whatever. When the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, when they ventured off, especially Japheth, when they ventured off into the different territories and regions, they intermingled with these other people groups from Genesis 1 and 2 and from Genesis 6.
Yes. Very good. As Whittam says, close enough.
and that's going down a whole other rabbit hole.
It is. But okay, so I apologize. but I don't. Sorry, not sorry. Let's get on with it, Felicia. All right, so we are dealing with this evening. How did this all start? Gog and Magog. How do we all get to where we are right now, dealing with what we're dealing with? And we don't even have to start at the 9th century, but the answering of the question is basically, how do we all get here? What happened? Noah was also albino, Inger says.
We get that from the book of Jasher.
Huh?
From the book of Jasher. Doesn't necessarily say he was albino. Says he was super white, but probably most likely what it was, albinism. But yeah, we get that from the book of Jasher.
Are you trying to say he glowed?
He was magnificently, yeah. He filled the room up like.
Well, I mean, listen. Let's just break it down, and you needed sunglasses, but Trip, Adam and Eve. Do you know what originally they looked like? Do you know what they originally looked like? Think about it. They glowed too. Bright, light.
A whole other topic that we're skirting upon, and oh my goodness, man, it's gonna be more questions than answers.
I know, that's why I just said okay, but they were bright, and I'm gonna leave it there. They were light.
Well, I'm saying, if you look at the word skin, in the English, the word skin is not the word skin in Hebrew
at all.
It's or.
That's right.
Or. And or is spelled two different ways in Genesis. When Adam and then Eve, when they were created, they were or with an aleph, with a spelled with an aleph.
That's right.
And then after they left the garden, they were or spelled with an ayin. Same creation, two different words to convey two different types of quote unquote, if you will, flesh that they were in, nafash that they were in, the body, the embodiment that they were in. They were light. They were light. Or means light. Or
that's what light. I'm saying.
With an right. I'm clarifying. Like I'm bringing it home. Right. What you're saying. I'm bringing it home with what you're saying. So when they were created, it says that they were given, that they were made or with an aleph, which means light. So they were light beings, literally. Yep. And we see in the quote unquote New Testament where he's called the Father of lights. So and then we are light. We're not supposed to hide our light under a bushel. We are supposed to be lights on us, on top of the city. So we are light. We're of the light. So
and then when we think about the connotation of black and white, we have to take those and throw those away, because black means without origin. It means it's not existent. It means blacked out. It means it's not there. And then when you look at white, there are no white people. White, I have relatives that are quote unquote white, and they're not white. My great grandfather was white, but he wasn't white. He wasn't white. When I look at the screen I'm looking at, that's white. He wasn't white at all.
Where's Joshua?
Well, or with a ayin. Or with an ayin means skin. It's translated to skin. So they were light, and then they were given skin when they let an actual skin, flesh, that we can identify with today, when they left the garden. So it's mind-boggling. Actually, it is mind-boggling. Actually, so it's just all over the place. It's just all over.
Well, S. Whittam just said it. Albino is closest to white as possible. The rest of us are Heinz 57. And Inger says that black and white are by words, like byproduct words. Here's the thing. I'm so glad that we are all here together saying that, because you know what? I guarantee you that, where the word tells us that, Oh gee, I'm trying to think of it. You know what I mean? Okay, here's what I'm trying to say. You know where the word says that on earth as it is in heaven? I honestly believe that if we get that concept, that we're all Heinz 57 and on earth as it is in heaven, then we won't even have the issues that the Elites are trying to divide us with, which is, back to Ronnie's earlier message, ethnos. However, it does play a role in the end times. Hello, little girl. And it does play a role when we're looking at this as to who's who. And here's why: because they use this to divide. That's why it means something, because they've used it to divide us, and they've used this particular topic to steal, okay, to destroy, to take over things. All right. And then the deal is that if you read the description of who they are, and then you look at how fat they live in, I mean, like fat on the land, like wealthy, it's like, gee whiz, this is by far the worst case of identity theft ever played and the worst trick ever played on man. And if we begin to look at it, we will begin to see that it is them that are playing this game on everybody, but they don't want you to say anything. They're that narcissistic. They don't want you to identify them. And then when you identify them, they then say that you are anti something that they're not. And that is so creepy. But this is the Elites. This is the Elites, and this is how they rock. Now, I'm going to be quiet because this is Saturday Night is Live. And we are talking about how did this all start. But I think that it's all relevant. I think that it is very, very relevant. So is Magog Tartar? Is Magog Tartar? What do you mean, Tartarus or Tyrus? I think you're saying Tyrus. I think you're saying Tyrus. Yeah, this is how they roll. They love to keep they love to keep the confusion.
People say Tyrus because Tyrus is called, the land of the north, and then when they're speaking of, the land region in the north, they're speaking of Tyre, of the city of Tyre. And then you have that north concept, and then you have the king of the north, and people conflate that and put it all together, but they're not necessarily speaking to the same things. Magog just means of Gog, and we already established what Gog means in general. Magog is the son of Japheth.
Mm-hmm.
It's the son of Japheth, and it means a high and mighty propped up one. But we see why these sons are high and propped up, because Japheth's blessing from his father Noah was that he was to be enlarged. He was to be the king of the world, basically. And so, of course, Japheth is going to allot his sons different inheritances in different regions of territory to be king and have lordship over. So, and Magog is the chief prince of them all, of Meshach and Tubal, because he's the older son. Gog of Magog, so yeah, that it's what we're basically coming to the conclusion of is who these people are, how to be able to identify these people. So we say king of the north. Russia is outside of the Arctic, Russia is like the northernmost country that you can find, outside of Canada as well, or Siberia and all of that, and but as far as a mighty nation and a large nation, Russia is the northernmost nation. So
Yeah.
when you say king of the north, you can definitely identify Russia as a key player, but Russia isn't necessarily, it's not speaking solely on Russia. It is a league of individuals that have come together as far as being allied. And when you go all the way back to the beginning of the timeline, they're all literally brothers. They're all literally brothers from one father, from Japheth. So they do, stem from a certain people group.
I was
And
saying yesterday how much just onto dealing with, for example, China and dealing with China and dealing with Russia. They look so much alike to me. They favor each other, and I highlighted that yesterday. They really favor one another. But anyway, I digress. Go ahead. Yes, the little thumb shaped place. The ones that live in the thumb shaped place. There you go. My sister got it. There you go, Deb. The ones that live in that thumb shaped place. That's right. And you know what? The trip is that the thumb shaped place ain't even. Well, let me be. That's not Yahshua. Yahshua is a group of humans. Okay, go ahead.
go ahead, keep on. Keep
No,
on.
but I mean, Yasharal is a group of people. Yasharal is not necessarily that place. Israel is not that necessarily, not necessarily that specific. It's not the place, it's the people who make up Yasharal, right? We're going to see some amazing things. And I think that that's what's going to confuse a lot of scholars here in a very quick minute. I mean, I think there's just going to be a lot of people who are going to be very confused here in a minute. Okay, so I'm asking for serious asking, sorry. Okay, so were the Tartarians. Tartarians. I think S. Whittam is asking who were the Tartarians. Is that what you're saying? Who does China descend from? Okay. Okay, you want to go there. Where's that link? Because that's exactly broken down in this, in that video that Deb put up earlier. It is definitely broken down. It's broken down to the nth degree as to who each group is and who they are not. And I think that it is important, but let me ask you a question here. In all seriousness, Ronnie, if we just put a bullet point on it, just to say who it is, and then we'll build around that. Who are they right now today? And then we can build around it.
Japhethites, Caucasians.
Okay, and as we said the other week, Caucasian does not necessarily mean what we have been taught Caucasian is. Fascinating. I had to go get my desk globe to follow along. Righteous broomstick. That was in part 1 right there. Deb Woods, Armand has it up. It is part 1 right there. That's part 1, she says, right there. So it gives you some very, very, you know what I'm going to tell you guys, if you really, I went through all of our stuff last night, as far as our archives, literal archives, not necessarily what's published on the channel. There are some things that we have that are no longer published on the channel for specific reasons, and they've been pulled. But I went through all of it, and I'm like, gee whiz, you know what I think we need to do? We just need to put some of these things that we don't have on the channel anymore on Patreon, because they are that good. They are that in detail. But I know that there's a lot of information that if you put it out there, you get yourself involved in a little bit of issues. And so with that said, I think I'm going to upload a few of those things this weekend. So you guys that are already members, you'll be getting a couple of, some good links on some good stuff on both of the channels there, on both Headlines with a Voice and here. Okay, so they're Japhethites.
Right. So I'm not saying that they're the Russians.
Right.
But hear me closely. I am saying that Russians are Japhethites.
You know what? You'll be doing that sometimes. And I'm like, what? What the what? What? Break it down.
Well,
Break it on down.
I'm just saying. Russians are are of Japheth.
Correct. They are.
Russians are from Japheth, and Magog is Japheth's son. I'm not saying that they're Russians, but I am saying that Russians are. What I'm saying is I'm not singling it out as them being Russians, because that is actually speculation and we cannot know for sure. What I am saying is it definitely is Japhethites, and Russians do fit the bill for the most part. But we can't say that matter of factly if we're being honest, we cannot say that matter of factly because history has been so skewed. However, if you look at it, you can definitely use context clues, and you can use deductive reasoning to get as close as possible. So, I don't want to say a whole bunch of speculation or even remote speculation. I just want to say what it is, and I hope that makes sense. To even a listener that is just passing through or what have you. That
Bishop Scott, Bishop G. William Scott has here Magog went to what is known as Russia. That's what Bishop Scott says.
And that, yeah, exactly. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to use my words as carefully as possible so we don't convey misconceptions, or it can't be misconstrued that people are saying certain things that might not necessarily be true. However, if the shoe fits,
If the glove fits, if it don't fit,
I hope you're seeing in between the lines what I'm saying here.
I do. And so S. Whittam says China old. I think China would be Tubal. I think you on your cell phone, right, S. Whittam? So I'm gonna just try to figure. China would be Tubal, possibly metalwork, unless that was only Tubal Cain. No.
Well, Tubal Cain and Tubal were two different people. There's actually a couple of Tubals, and Tubal Cain and the Tubals were different individuals. But the Russians, Slavic people are of Japheth.
So you mean to tell me that the Slavic people, the one that speaks a little Slavic, got it? Okay, isn't Trump's wife, isn't she from one of those types of places?
I would like to say yes, but I can't tell you exactly where she's from, but I'm sure somebody does know. But yeah, absolutely. She is a Japhethite. But there's a lot of individuals that comprise of the Slavic people. You have Bulgaria, you have Croatia, you have Bosnia.
Georgia.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of things like that. What's interesting is Macedonia is a Slavic nation.
You know what? I was thinking of them.
And Macedonia, that's where the Greeks come from. Alexander the Great was the king of Macedon. And he's the one who brought forth the Grecian empire, if you will. And like I said, he was a Macedonian. So that lets you know that him by blood. That's the tie-in. Him by blood, is a Japhethite, and that so the Japhethites, that was ushered in. But Persia is also
correct.
Caucasian, and therefore is sons of Japheth. Yep. And Persia, the Medo-Persians conquered Babylon. Babylon was Nimrod's city, if you will, empire, if you will. Nimrod was a son of Cush, who was the son of Ham.
And here we go with the two giants that's on my thumbnail. Bring it on in here. That's right, Bishop Scott. She is. Melania is from Slovenia. Yes. Go ahead on. Come on. Bring it in. The giants, the two of them.
Well, I'm just saying. So, but who conquered? So Persia, well, the Medo-Persians.
Medo-Persia.
But Persia at large, those became the Akkadians, or the as far as the empires go. They conquered Babylon. They conquered Ham's people, which was Babylon. So this is why when you see in Ezekiel 38 that in alignment with Gog is Ethiopia and Persia.
And
it's not much that they, those specific people groups are affiliated and or in alliance with. It's the fact that Gog or Japheth, inadvertently through Persia, conquered Babylon. And when you conquer a place, you absorb it and it becomes yours.
Come on now, speak to the United States and let them know what happens when you start taking down stuff that you shouldn't, because you're trying to get rid of a history that you just want to wipe out, and you really don't want to let the people know that you've literally taken over their country from the inside out. And so when you decide to do this,
it ties
remove all the
into
stuff.
everything. It ties into all aspects, because the game that is being played has not changed. It's just the players that have changed. And then if you really think about it,
it ain't even the players,
right? They're
it's
the
the
same
observers.
players.
Yeah, you're right. It's the observers that have changed.
But it's just different peoples that are in the same player seat. It's just this player, but
you're right.
but different people are sitting at the table, in the seat of such and such player or what have you. But yeah, it's the same game, it's the same playbook, and it is in every facet, macro or micro. And but mind you, Ethiopia would be Cush, but Cush is Ham's son, and
very telling in this part here.
And so, but see, that's Nimrod. That's Nimrod. Nimrod was Cush's son. So they are in alignment. Babylon is in line with Gog. But namely, as far as Ethiopia is concerned, when you go back to Ezekiel 38, it tells you in verse 5 that Ethiopia is basically in alliance with Gog. It also tells you that in the book of Daniel that Gog is bringing, it doesn't say Gog. It doesn't say Gog. This is the tie-in. In Daniel, it talks about the king of the north.
Correct.
Never says Gog.
That's right.
In Ezekiel 38 and 39, it talks about Gog, and it never says the king of the north. But when you look at all of the surrounding similarities and parallels, you can put it together. Like in Daniel 11, Ethiopia is in alliance with the king of the north.
That's right.
In Ezekiel 38, Ethiopia, Gog brings Ethiopia with them, and in verse 6 it says Gomer and all of its troops. Gomer is the son of Japheth. So all of these people are Caucasoids, are Caucasians, are Japhethites, are Yaphath, are so. If you want to use the most basic broad stroke terminology, all of these people are white people in today's modern terminology, if you will, when you're looking at it through just a basic lens. So what I'm pinpointing this so we can get an idea of what we're looking at and what we're looking for. So we're not necessarily looking for Persians and Ethiopians aligned with Gog. What we're looking for is these empires.
Yeah, and see, that's what
residuals of
that's what Bishop
empires.
Scott has on the screen right now. The king of the north in Daniel is Syria.
The king of the north in Daniel
in
is
the book
not
of Daniel
Syria.
is Syria.
The king of the north is that's not entirely true. It encompasses way more than that. The thing about Daniel,
But Syria is a part of that, though.
Syria is a part of that. Syria is a part of that.
Yeah.
But that's why I said it encompasses way more. Way more than just that. The thing about Daniel is that we can't begin to dissect Daniel and say matter-of-factly that we know what we're talking about, because Daniel himself was instructed to close the book.
That's true.
So there's mysteries involved that we're never going to figure out. Even if we put all our energy into it, we're never going to figure out. It says the book shall be closed until the last day.
Okay,
and
that's
so
fair.
So now that we're in the last day, we're starting to get glimpses of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, but we're never going to obtain. I'm not going to say we're never, but we don't have all the answers at this point in time, and we can't pinpoint certain things, because at one point in time it may have been Syria, but the thing about prophecy is that it transcends time, and though it's talking about one aspect at one particular time, it's still true in a future time, and it was still true in a past time, because his word is living and breathing, and it always is true no matter when you're speaking it. So it encompasses way more than just that aspect. The thing is, like I said,
DJ Vision Barnett. Hey.
The thing is, like I said, as far as when you look at Daniel 11, as a matter of fact, Ethiopia is in alliance with the king of the north. And is even specifically stated, whereas in Ezekiel, Ethiopia is aligned with Gog. That lets you know that they're, and like I said, they're not so much people groups, but they're power structures. They're people groups that
I think that's important to note and important to highlight. Yeah.
Right. They're people groups that hold and maintain a certain power structure.
Right. And characteristics play a great role in that too. Okay. Very good. Very, very good. Revelation is a companion book to Daniel, along with the other books of the prophets, Bishop says. And DJ says, Battle of the Tribes, DJ. And then, hello, Deb Woods is hugging you on your neck there, saying hey to you, DJ Vision Barnett. So now, when we consider, like I mentioned earlier, the 9th century, because for me, that was the direction I was going to come from. However, I'm glad that you break it down to its least common denominator. So with that said,
so
tell me.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. Pull up Daniel.
And
11.
I'm sorry for eating in your ear, because I got these vegan, organic, carob-covered almonds, which I can eat on Dr. B's plan. So I'm having a good time. This is the first thing I've eaten all day. All right, so now pull up who? Holiday.
No, I'm gonna pull up Daniel 11, but you.
It's on the screen.
But you asked. Oh, okay. But you asked what you were gonna ask.
I forgot. What was I saying?
You were saying you're glad that it can be broken down to its least common denominator.
No, I'm glad that you're breaking it all the way down, because yes, it does help us understand, now that we've got that piece, up under the rug, how did all of this arguing and all of this stuff start? That's an elementary question, but I think all of us would just, how did it start and why? Is it even, I think it's more how than why. How?
Arguing as far as what? Arguing
as
far as what?
Okay, here's what I want to say. You are so welcome, Righteous Broomstick, and I love that name. It's hilarious. So here's the deal. Everything that we're dealing with right now, especially when you consider, for example, Russia is not Gog. Okay, just for the sake of argument. All right, let's just say it is not.
Okay.
There was still a relationship between another Vladimir and Vladimir. There were still relationships between these two empires that are having this argument, which was the same place, all right, at one point, different regions, but the argument is very old. Again, I said earlier, if we even go back to the 9th century, but it had to go prior to that. When we look at that, how did we even get there? Because if we're looking at Ukraine as an example, Ukraine superseded the now known, Russia in strength and power, and then it flipped. Historically, it flipped. And I know that Bishop is here, and he is a wonderful historian, but it flipped. Their power literally flipped. And so now we're here. But how did this whole entire thing start with the whole Gog and the whole Magog? Are they one and the same, that are just a family fighting, to S. Whittam's point? How do we get here?
Well, that's the misconception. So I guess to answer the question, and then we'll more thoroughly answer that question as we go. But to answer the question right away is that it's a misconception. It's the Gog Magog
Mm-hmm.
situation that we are attaching end times to in relation to current events is all contrived. It's not. It's a misconception.
Okay, that's fair.
It's smoke and mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that it's not moving towards something biblical proportions, but we have things conflated. For example, trying to figure out who is who and what's what. Like we can't safely say that we can assume, we can safely you might think I'm saying the same thing twice, but I'm not. Just listen carefully to my words. We might safely assume that Gog is Russia, but we can't safely say that Gog is Russia.
No, I appreciate how you break things down, and the reason why I appreciate the way you break it down is because you want to be very cognizant of the fact that Yah has put certain things in the word, as you pointed out, with the book being sealed, which means you can't use conjecture there. So I appreciate the way you break it down,
You
because
can use
clearly,
context clues.
yeah. So you see what I mean? So yeah. So I appreciate that. I think, yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah.
So you can use context clues. Case in point, what you have on the screen. Oh, you don't have it on the screen anymore. If you can share Daniel 11 again. Case in point, it tells you use the context clues. Let me see. Don't leave where you're at. Talks about 3 kings of Persia. Where's that at? In verse 2, 3 kings of Persia. Look, and then we're talking about Grecia. That's Javan. Scroll down some. Scroll down some. Go to like
Hold up. Okay, now where?
Let's see here.
Why don't you just tell me the name of the movie that you want to see? Here it is, where the king of the north
like
shall return.
Go down to like the 40s, like maybe 42, 43-ish.
All right, here we are.
All right, okay, 42. Okay, boom, 41. It says, but these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom.
Whoa. 43 or 41?
Well, I'm looking at 41 currently at the moment. Edom, that's that's Esau now.
He shall enter also into the glorious land.
Right, and I'm looking at the back end. But these shall escape of verse 41, the back end of verse 41. But these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab and Ammon.
Okay.
So they get a pass from the king of the north. So
Very
that lets
telling.
you know, well, yeah, that is extremely telling. Why did these people get a pass?
Very telling.
From the king of the north. It says he shall stretch forth his hand also upon the countries. The land of Egypt shall not escape. Egypt. So now we're starting to see context clues. 43, he shall have power over the treasures of gold and silver and over all the precious things of Egypt and the Libyans and the Ethiopians.
Oh.
You see, so you have Libyans and Ethiopians in Daniel 11.
Keep talking. I gotta close my front door.
Clues. Well. Let me share my screen. Let me share my screen and then do what you do. So Daniel 11 talks about Egypt, Libyans, and it talks about Ethiopians. As far as Ezekiel 38 goes. Oh, I thought you were gonna let me share my screen. Well, if anybody goes to Ezekiel 38, they will see. They will see where it talks about the Ethiopians. In verse 5, it says Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya are with them. All of them with shield and helmet, Gomer and all of its troops. So what I'm saying is you can use context clues to see that at some point in time that the king of the north and Gog are synonymous. Not necessarily they're speaking on one of the same, but at some point in time, these concepts intersect. Share Ezekiel 30. Share my screen.
Share my screen. Okay, there you go.
5. We were just talking about Ethiopia and Libya, and then we have the same context.
Okay,
so what I'm saying is that hello? Am I no longer with you?
Yeah, you're there.
Oh, I thought you said something about cut off. Okay. Yeah, but what I'm saying is use the context clues to hone in on who's who and what's what. They're not telling you Ethiopia and Libya in two different places just to be name dropping. They're trying to tell you something. They're telling you that Daniel's vision and Ezekiel's vision are different aspects of the same. So and both of them see these players, and these are conglomerates. These are entities that are, to some form or fashion and for some reason have made a pact with each other. In the case of Cush or Ethiopia, it's because Persia has conquered Babylon, which is Cush. Yes. In the sense that Cush's son was Nimrod, who was the king of Babylon.
Yes.
Then Ethiopia is speaking on that entire social structure that was absorbed by Persia, and Gog, ultimately Greece absorbed Persia. Okay. And Greece, who is Javan, is a son of Japheth. So this whole entire power structure that we are currently under has been absorbed, and you can see where it stems from. The very main power structure that got absorbed was the golden head in the statue that Daniel talks about. And that was Babylon. That was the city. That was the empire of Babylon. And so Gog owns all of it. And we see Japheth. We see Japheth's blessing is that he will be enlarged. He takes everything. And also in Japheth's blessing in Genesis 9, it tells you not only will he be enlarged, but he's going to dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan's going to be his servant. So like he has total free reign of the entire world. And we see this manifested in the European power structure that is, in play and is dominating the globe, is dominating, this world by way of colonialism today. We see that manifested and played out today. And like I said, it was by way of colonialism. And this is the power structure in which we are entrenched. And it all is Japheth, but all of these people that are tied to him is by way of destruction. By way of they were confiscated along the way. Ethiopia, Persia, Libya, all these people were confiscated and absorbed.
Yeah, and whose fingers, who always has their mitts. Even if you look at Egypt, who's got their mitts on them now? They're not even them.
Yeah, it's all Japheth. It's all Japheth.
He puts his mitts on everybody.
So Gog is basically Japheth.
I mean, he fondles everybody. Think about that. I mean, he's all over everybody. He's really a perv. He's everywhere. Pretty ubiquitous.
Every and anything. So it's not so much Russia, even though you can safely say that it is Russia, but it's Japheth at large. The king of the north is a metaphor for the world power structure.
Now that I have to say, yes, especially to Bishop Scott's point up here. It was Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, then Rome. Then he said up here, Persia, Iran, Ethiopia, Libya, and Gomer, Turkey. Now listen, I'm going to put what I'm trying to say together. When you consider the fact that at one point somebody lived there, now this land right now is inhabited by others. So this land, if you were to go back in time, I'm using this as an example, if you go back in time at the particular time that this vision was given or that this prophecy was given, these individuals in this particular part of the world were here. So when you were to see this now, you would be thinking, oh, it's these people, when in essence, it just might not be those specific people groups, if that makes sense. So both, you see what I'm trying to say? You see how I'm working out there as I eat my carob flavored almonds?
So in verse 5, you see Ethiopia, right?
Right. Yeah.
We know that it's Cush.
Right.
We know Cush' son was Nimrod.
Correct.
Nimrod was the king of Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I'm saying. This is the tie-in to Revelation, because who falls? Babylon.
That's right.
Babylon. But Babylon fell in the 500s. So we're not talking about Babylon itself. We're talking about the concept, the metaphor of Babylon. And the tie-in is Babylon is Gog, is Persia, or the Medo-Persians, is Rome, is Greece, is Egypt. It's all one and the same. It is the world power structure.
The power structure.
Is
Come on
the
now.
king of the north. You could say the king of the north as well.
Yes.
It's all the same.
The whole region. Yes. Yes.
It's the power structure that is in play. And that's what's falling in Revelation. Because when we go to Revelation and look at it, in chapter 18 of Revelation, Babylon falls. Like I said, we already know Babylon fell. So it's talking about the metaphorical Babylon as far as the world power structure that falls. And what fuels the world power structure today? Capitalism, economics.
Yeah, bunches of money.
Economics. That's the system that falls. Capitalism. That whole entire system is going to crumble, and we see it play out in numerous places. But namely, as far as what we're speaking on Revelation 18, we see it crumble in Revelation 18, and then in Revelation 19. I'm going to share my screen.
I have 18 up here.
Okay. Okay. Cool. No, that's cool.
Can you
have
see
Revelation 18?
I don't know why it's not there, but this is me, right? This is you. This is me. All right, there you go. It's up there now.
All right. So it tells you Babylon is fallen, and then when you read it on your own time, you see that it but check it says it is a place for every clean bird, and for every unclean bird and every unclean spirit, and then it goes on to tell you that you're supposed to come out of her because she's about to fall, or she is fallen. So go to 19. Use that gray arrow on the right hand side. Okay, or that.
Because I was already in the throes of it, and I'm old.
Okay,
and you get me thrown off when you make me stop in the middle of doing something.
All right, so look,
my reflexes aren't so fast.
So it's falling. All right, keep on going down, going down, and then so now we're rejoicing for the fact that it fell. Hold on, go up to like 5-ish.
Yep.
So now we're talking about okay, go scroll down a little bit. Let me
a little bit past 5.
Yeah, let me go there with you. Verse 6. Let's go to 11. Let's go to 11. Okay, now, mind you, all of this is important. So I hate to seem like I'm skimming through, because all of this is actually extremely important. But now we see that after Babylon falls, that the rider of the white horse comes, and his name is the word, quote unquote, the word of God. He comes with a sharp sword coming out of his mouth. That's the word of truth that strikes the nations. And this is after the fact that Babylon falls. So when we scroll down to 17, he tells you, check it. He says, "Come and gather together for the supper of the great God." This is verse 17, and now I'm in 18. He's crying out to the birds of the air, and he's saying, hey, we're about to have a huge supper and a huge feast for the birds of the air, You may
Wow.
eat the flesh of kings and the flesh of
Wow.
captains, the flesh of mighty men, the flesh
Mm.
of horses, and all those who sit on them, and the flesh of all people, free and slave, both great and small. And I saw the beasts, the kings of the earth, and their armies gathered together to make war. This is that Gog Magog situation here.
Yes.
But check
Yes.
it. It says that they get slain and the birds eat them up.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Wow.
And in verse 21, and the rest were killed with the sword that proceeded from the mouth of him. That's the word of truth.
That's correct.
Okay, so go to chapter 20. Now, mind you, we just seen that the birds are having a great feast, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the armies that gathered. It doesn't say anything about Gog Magog, but we're using context clues to tell you that this is Gog Magog.
Right. Right.
Okay, so are you in verse
Rev 20.
Okay,
verse
you're
1.
you're in chapter 20. Okay, so it goes on to tell you. Scroll down to 4. Let's continue on. Scroll down to 7. It says, now when the 1,000 years have expired, so there's a 1,000-year reign.
What version are you reading?
I don't know. I'm reading from the internet. So what is this? This is the New King James. I'm reading the New King James version.
Okay, I think I'm in BSB. Let me go to New King James. So at least it be the same.
Okay, pardon me.
And you said verse 11?
Let's start at 7.
Okay.
So there's a 1,000-year reign. Matter of fact, let's read 4. I saw thrones, and they sat on them.
Wait a minute now. Let me get on back up here. I
Okay,
got
well,
a handful of almonds in one hand and a mouse in another.
I saw
Okay, go.
thrones, and they sat on them, and judgment was committed to them. And I saw the souls who had been beheaded for their witness to Jesus and for the word of God, who had not worshipped the beast or his image and had not received his mark on their foreheads or on their hands, and they lived and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. So that I just highlighted that and prefaced that to let you know that there is a 1,000-year reign. I'm sure most of us know this, but there is a 1,000-year reign. Okay, then in verse 7, it says, now when the 1,000 years have expired, Satan will be released from his prison and will go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, whose number is as the sand of the sea. Now, this is the thing. This is after the 1,000-year reign.
Wow.
We just saw that the birds had a field day and ate all the flesh of all of the captains and the troops and the nations that came up against Yah's people. That was before the 1,000-year reign. So this is what's going on. Gog and Magog is still out here on earth, trying to build up its foundations and empire and reestablish its empire during the 1,000-year reign of the Most High and his people in the kingdom. Gog and Magog got beat up to no end 1,000 years earlier, to where the flesh of the people were getting eaten by birds. It doesn't say Gog and Magog, though. We're assuming at the moment that Revelation chapter 19 is speaking on Gog and Magog.
That's right.
But we're assuming, because I haven't showed you in scripture where it's, the context clues that is actually letting you know there is a huge bird feast on Gog and Magog. 1,000 years later, he comes to battle one more time.
Right.
And it says they went up, verse 9, they went up on the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp of the saints and the beloved city. That means the city has already been established. That's the kingdom. That's that golden cube that we read about in the next chapter 21. It says, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. The devil who deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are. And they are tormented day and night forever and ever. And then judgment comes after the 1,000-year reign. Please, we have to understand this. Now, I'm going to screen share one more time.
That's cool. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to Ezekiel 39. We were in 38. Now I'm going to Ezekiel 39.
Hey, Mars Fools, go.
Do you see me?
How are you? I do now.
Okay, pull me up. I'm in Ezekiel 38 at the moment, and we just got finished talking about Gog and Magog, right? Okay, so let's go over to chapter 39. It says, "And you, son of man, prophesy against Gog and say, Thus says the Lord God, Behold, I am against you, O Gog, the prince of Rosh." Once again, here goes Rosh, Meshach and Tubal, "and I will turn you around and lead you on, bring you up from the far north, and bring you against the mountains of Yasharal." This is speaking on the war after the 1,000-year reign. Because he says that he will bring you up against the mountains of Israel. So these are indicators. I'm bringing this up because these are indicators to the Gog Magog, because because they are in Ukraine. They're in the Ukraine right now. That's not the mountains of Israel.
No, it isn't. But there hasn't been 1,000 years either.
Exactly. But
hey, Poppy Love.
So it says, "Then I will knock the bow out of your left hand, and I will cause all the arrows to fall out of your right hand." Verse 4, "You shall fall upon the mountains of Yasharal, you and all your troops and all the peoples who are with you. I will give you to birds of prey of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured.
Hello.
You shall fall on the open field, for I have spoken, says the Lord God, and I will send fire on Magog and all those who live in security in the coastlands. Then they shall know that I am the Lord." So the bird feast is before the 1,000-year reign. So he's letting you know. I'm telling you, these are indicators.
That's right.
The mountains of Yasharal, not the Ukraine. So even if this is an indicator, we're not there yet.
Synthetic. Like I said at the beginning, like we said earlier, synthetic. Because they know the book too.
The indicator is that he is going to pull them by the nose, basically, and turn them around and lead them on to bring them to the mountains of Yasharal. So, like I said, even if all the players are in play at the moment, we can tell by the time marker that we're not in the mountains of Yasharal. And when they start moving in that direction, now we're going to start realizing, okay, something's about to jump off. I'm not going to say we have time. The time is up. We have no time. Correct. But what I'm saying is we can see the play-by-play if we understand the script.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying.
You're right.
So it says, "You shall fall upon the mountains of Yasharal," and then it talks about the birds of prey having a feast day, basically, right? And then, "You shall fall upon the open field." I have spoken. In verse 6, "I will send fire on Magog and on those who live in security in the coastlands. Then they shall know that I am the Lord. So I will make my holy name known in the midst of my people Israel, and I will not let them profane my holy name anymore." And I'm reading verbatim. It says, "Then the nations shall know that I am the Lord, the Holy One of Israel. Surely it is coming, and it shall be done." So we can definitely count on the fact he said it out of his mouth that it is coming and it shall be done. But we can know the play-by-play if we know the play-by-play.
Correct.
And I'm telling you, Ezekiel 39 and Revelation 20 and 19 and even Revelation 18, 19, and 20 go together. Ezekiel 38 and 39 definitely go together. It says, "This is the day of which I have spoken." It says, "Then those who dwell in the cities of Yasharal will go out and set fire and burn the weapons, both the shields and the bucklers, the bows and the arrows, the javelins and the spears, and they will make fires with them for 7 years. We're going to burn all of Japheth's weapons. They have so many weapons that the fire is not going to be put out for 7 years. Verse 10, "They will not take wood from the field nor cut down any from the forest, because they will make fires with the weapons, and they will plunder those who plundered them." You want to plunder Yasharal? We are going to plunder you back one day. You need to chill. Matter of fact, cleave the Yasharal right now so you don't get mixed
up in all of this.
Yes. Exactly. And we will pillage those who have pillaged us. And this says Yah. Okay, the burial of Gog. It will come to pass in that day, and I'm reading from starting at verse 11. It will come to pass in that day that I will give Gog a burial place there in Yahshua, the valley of those who pass by east of the sea, and it will obstruct the travelers, because there they will bury Gog and all of his multitude. Therefore, they will call it the valley of Haman Gog. For 7 months, the house of Yahshua will be burying them in order to cleanse the land.
A lot of dead people.
It's going to take 7 months to bury everybody. Indeed, all the people of the land will be burying, and they will gain renown for it on the day that I am glorified. Verse 14, they will set apart men regularly employed. So we're going to have shifts.
And I just got a vision.
With the help of a search party to pass through the land and bury those bodies remaining on the ground in order to cleanse it.
And do you know the vision I just got?
At the end of the 7 months, they will make a search. Go ahead.
But do you know the vision that I just got?
Yeah,
that there's going to be so many of them, they're not going to be able, there's not going to be the standard digging. It's literally going to be bulldoze digging. It's going to be 7 months, but it's going to be so many people that it will be scraped, bulldozed. That's exactly how they're going to be pushing them in one space. I just saw a vision of them literally pushing them, picking them all up in one spot. That's huge when you consider.
So you can say, what are those pits, those burial?
Yes,
mass graves.
That's what I saw. I saw just picking them up.
They're going to have search parties to go out and find all the bodies. And it's going to take 7 months for this to occur. So they're speaking. This is speaking on before the 7-year reign. I'm sorry. Pardon me. Please pardon me. Forgive me. This is speaking on.
Deleted.
This is speaking on prior to the millennial reign. And it says it's going to take 7 months for them to make the search and to find all these dead bodies. Verse 15, the search party will pass through the land, and when anyone sees a man's bones, he will set up a marker by it until the buriers have buried it in the valley of Haman Gog.
Wow.
The name of the city will also be Hamonah. Thus, they shall cleanse the land. So that's how they're going to cleanse the land. And this is why they're bones, because all the birds before they're buried are going to eat their bodies for 7 months.
Yep. Woo. Oh, wow. Okay, no worries, Marty. Wow, that's heavy. I'm going to speak to you about this off because I'm seeing a lot of stuff. Wow.
But so we have to understand and do all tie-ins. We have to make these tie-ins. And so this is what's going on as far as the Gog Magog War, and this is what we have to look forward to. This is nuclear. This is a very bleak thing.
It's totally nunuclear.
Huh.
This is totally nuclear.
Speak on.
This is totally nuclear. It will be nuclear. It will completely 110% of the way be nuclear. That's all I'm gonna say right now. I'll speak to you offline, but this is gonna be nuclear, literally. Yeah.
Okay, go to Zechariah 14, please.
Okay, Zechariah 14.
Go to Zechariah 14, verse 12, please. So
Zechariah 14
is the end time prophet, right?
Child, this grandbaby done went away with his mother calling me talking about I want a sandwich. Zechariah 14. Hold on, let me get it. Zechariah 14.
Okay, so you're talking about nuclear, right?
That's what I just saw. Yeah, but I saw, and I'll talk to you about some more stuff that I just saw.
Okay. So as far as Ezekiel 39 is concerned, we're talking about something that is prolific, something that has not occurred.
So Zechariah 14
on the level of, as far as what mankind has seen thus far, on the scale of this is extraordinary, right? So you're at verse 12. Verse
14, chapter 14, verse 12.
Yeah, and what version are you reading? From what version?
I am.
Pick one.
I'm gonna go BSB. I like BSB.
All right. And I'm going to read BSB as well. Are you there?
Hold on, I got to take your other thing off.
Okay. Zechariah 14, verse 12. And Zechariah is speaking on the end times.
14,
Go back
12.
and look at it so you can see it in context. But Zechariah is speaking on the end, on the last day. Are you there?
Okay. I am.
Okay. And this will be the plague with which Yah strikes all the peoples who have warred against Jerusalem.
Okay.
Their flesh will rot while they stand on their feet.
Oh, wow.
Their eyes will rot in their sockets.
Oh, wow.
And their tongues will rot in their mouths.
Wow.
Does that not sound like
that's what
a
I saw?
Nuclear explosion?
Yep, that's what I saw. Yep.
I'm not saying that this is a nuclear event.
I'm what saying I saw
that flesh being just melted away while you're standing on your feet, and eyes being melted away out of your sockets while you're standing on your feet sounds nuclear to me. I'm not saying that it's nuclear though. I'm just saying that nuclear fits the bill.
No, what I saw in the spirit was nuclear before you pulled this passage up, but definitely nuclear. And that's the reason why it's going to take that long to scoop them up. It's not going to be, stick the shovel in the ground and throw the dirt over your shoulders. No, this is literally going to be, yes, they're going to be seeking them out because they're going to be up under so much stuff, but it's literally going to be scooping them up. What's left is going to be scooped, and it will take that 7 months. But what I see is that it takes that 7 months, but it's so many of them that here's the deal. It's a lot of them, but it takes 7 months by bulldozers, which shows that it's more than what your mind's eye would think if you thought about a whole bunch of folks just dropping at one time. So it's a bunch of people, and it is nuclear. That's what I saw, nuclear, but I didn't think about this passage at all. Yep. Did you leave me? Anyway, these almonds are good for everybody else. If he's,
I had it on mute. Pardon me.
Oh, you did the Felicia.
Like,
welcome to my world.
Like, can you hear me? Okay. So is this not mind-boggling?
Yeah, it is.
So this is why I'm bringing all of this home, so we can find out who these players are, but not more importantly, because it's
all of us. It's
vital to know who the players are, but just as importantly, to be able to identify the time factors that are, and this is critical that we observe the laws, statutes, and commandments, because the laws, statutes, and commandments put us in the right frame of mind to be able to maneuver through the end time. Can I share my screen? Let me share my screen. I'm going to share my screen really quickly.
Is it the Ezekiel 39? Hey,
No.
What happened to it?
No, because it's not it. I'm about to share it right now.
Oh, okay.
So I'm jumping over the numbers real quick because this is vital.
Okay.
Understand. So how long is that going to take? 7 months, right?
Yeah.
7 months. Okay. So look, I think I said numbers 9. Forgive me. Numbers 10 and 9. So check this out. This is a law that we are to abide by. I'm just pulling it up and I'm reading the NIV because that's the first thing that
Cool beans. No, you're
okay.
good.
When you go into battle in your own land against an enemy who is oppressing you, sound a blast. I think I said, okay, but we're supposed to do this too. Sound a blast on the trumpets, then you will be remembered by Yah. So we're supposed to sound the blast on the trumpets. What day is that?
The Feast of Trumpets?
That's the Feast of Trumpets. So this is letting you know. This is letting you know that the day that we go to battle in our land for people that are oppressing against people who are oppressing us is going to commence at the Feast of Trumpets. What month is that? That's the 7th month. That's the first day of the 7th month.
Yep.
Is the Feast of Trumpets. The first day of the 7th month is the Feast of Trumpets.
Which translates to like what, September-ish?
Maybe
somewhere in there.
Sometimes October.
Yeah.
But something like it. So I'm going to go to Numbers 9 and 10. So peep this out. Tell the Israelites, and I'm just reading the NIV because it's the first thing I pulled up.
Correct.
Tell the Israelites, when any of you or your descendants are unclean because of a dead body or are away on a journey, they are to celebrate the Lord's Passover.
To still celebrate.
They are still to celebrate the Lord's Passover, but check this out. Verse 11.
9/11 at that.
They are to do it on the 14th day of the second month at twilight. They are to eat the lamb together with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Pay attention to where I'm going. Listen,
I'm looking
carefully. When you are away on a long journey, or if you are unclean because of a dead body, you cannot celebrate the Passover on the 14th day of the first month. Moses has given you a pass and has implemented something else via the word of Yah himself and said, hey, we're going to allow you to get to have death passed you over on the second month of the 14th day. Why? Because you are unclean. How many days is that?
Come on now.
No, because you are unclean because of a dead body or you are on a long journey. So understand this. When do we sound the trumpet for the battle to begin? On the first day of the seventh month, right?
7th month, yes.
Okay. So all of this is going to take place, what we just read in Ezekiel 39 and Revelation 20, in more places, but we haven't read it from them. But you know, that whole context is going to take place starting. This is when Yah's coming. Yah's coming on the Feast of Trumpets. His return will be on the Feast of Trumpets.
Yeah. We don't know which Feast of Trumpets, but it is the Feast of Trumpets.
If you look at Revelation, it's the Feast of Trumpets. If you look at Revelation, all of the trumps are blown, and then the final trump is blown, and then he comes. It's the seventh trump. He's giving you a heads up, letting you know constantly these trumpets are being blown because he's coming. And in his arrival, that's the 7 month. That's the 7 months leading up to his arrival in that last year, in that whenever that last year is going to be, before he comes. And when that that blast on the 7th, that blast of the trumpet on the 7th month, and then all of this is going to play out. Babylon's going to fall. Gog Magog, the first go round before the 1,000-year reign. All of that is going to take place. Birds are going to have a big old feast, because in the 7th month, while we're having the Feast of Tabernacles in the kingdom, everybody else is going to not be in the kingdom and warring against each other in the Gog Magog War in the 7th month. And they're going to die. And what did we just read? That search parties, there's going to be teams and shifts of people that are employed to go out and grab up the dead bodies and bury them for 7 months. Do the math. We're at the 7th month at the Feast of Tabernacles. 7 months we're going to be burying bodies.
Yep. Takes you all the way back around to the what?
It takes you all the way back around to the 14th day of the second month.
Yep.
7 months to the day.
Yep.
This is why he's saying that if you are unclean because of a dead body, or if you have been on a long journey, then you're going to have you're going to celebrate Passover, but we have something special on the side for you so you can still observe Yah's feast day.
That's right.
Please understand that all of these things go together, and Rome isn't teaching us these things
at all, and never will, for obvious reasons. They want you to run from the law, and it looks to me like it's really got a whole lot of goodness in there.
But the law sets you up for prosperity in the future.
And
The law
literal
isn't done away
salvation
with.
and literally being saved, especially if you do the math like what's being explained here. If you do the math, you'll see that therein lies the salvation, because you'll be spared of. Wow.
Right, because I'm unclean right now because I've been burying bodies for the past months in shifts. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
So this is why this second Passover has been implemented. It's for the day. It's for that great and terrible day of Yah.
Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is.
Make no mistake about it. The laws, statutes, and commandments, and the ordinances, all of these things are not done away with. These are the very things that are going to put you in line to get on through in the last day.
That's why over there in Zechariah, I made sure we pointed out the word still. Still, this is a continuum. He never takes his hand off of us. He always gives us provisions and always lays it out.
Give me a thumbs up. Like if this is
give us a thumbs up if you get this.
Say yes. Let us know. This is vital and important, and all of this goes together. And this is in relationship to what is called the quote unquote Gog Magog War. And there is a lot of talk about Gog and Magog. As far as this juncture of time. Current event status, right now, but there's going to be wars and rumors of wars, but the end is not yet, but it's still at the door. I'm just giving you roadmaps, or maybe not, definitely a roadmap, but I'm giving you, mile markers to let you know what the scriptures are telling you and how to maneuver.
Yep. Long time no see. Come on, Unstoppable. Hey. Good to see you. Hey. Yeah. And you know what I like about this is about the fact that he proves his word over and over and over again. It's like peeling off layers of an onion. You see the whole onion, and this is what Rome has told you. But as you begin to peel it back, when Yah begins to peel it back with you, it is amazing. See, a lot of times we always say, and I remember, because you guys know what church I grew up in, all right, as a young woman, all the way from a little girl all the way up to a young woman, okay? We were taught, oh, that's done away with. And I believed it, man. I really believed it. Then all of a sudden, when I could ask a question and never get a tangible answer, my spirit just never settled with what I would hear. I never settled with what I would hear, and I would keep after digging. And afterwards, I just said, you know what? Let me just stop this, because nobody seems to know. You know why? They didn't know because the component that had the answer in it, they would not go back to. But here is the answer. And the sweet part about it is that even if you think you know, there's still your aha moment when you hear the truth, because your spirit knows the truth. When you get that aha moment, it's like that light bulb turns on, and it's like, okay, I got it. I see it now. Yes, we all were, S. Wyndham. We sure were all deceived. Absolutely. But isn't he awesome that he makes such great provision for us? Isn't Yah wonderful that he says, you know what, for those who truly and honestly want to know me and want to know my truth, you ain't going to have nothing hidden from you when you dig in. See, that's what real relationship is. When you have a real, true, honest relationship with him, he's not going to let nothing prevent you from finding out the truth. Nothing. Now, hey, you may not be ready for all of the truth right then. All right? But you'll circle right back around, and there go that truth. You see what I'm saying? Then all of a sudden, bingo, bango, and it just confirms it. That's all he does. He gives you one truth, and then another truth confirms the last truth, and another truth confirms the truth before that. And next thing you know, you're walking this thing out, and you didn't even realize it. But there is safety in him. There is safety in the way that he set this up. There is safety in him. That's the salvation. That is the salvation.
Yes. I'm glad you said that. That is pertinent. That is very vital. Say that again.
Yes,
What's
that is the
the,
salvation, doing
that
it his
is.
way, looking at what he says and looking at the provisions that he gives to us, looking for the way to get out of it. And then all of a sudden, here he comes and says, this is it, this is that, here's your salvation, this is your safety net, physical safety, physical safety. Dwayne Schmidt, hey babe, physical safety. He gives you the physical safety, but the physical safety actually helps you when you're in that valley of decision to get your soul, to get your spirit, to get the total you saved. Wow. And here we were taught that it was another thing. Okay? We were taught that it was another thing. And this is that. This is that truth that truly and honestly frees you. Just think about it. We have been listening to the lawless one tell us that the law is done away with. If that ain't telling, I don't know what is. Wait a minute here. You lawless, and you telling me that the law is done away? Well, obviously it is, because, well, you're lawless. This is off the chain. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
So share my screen again.
There you go.
Okay, so do you see Ezekiel 39?
Yeah, Ezekiel 39, the burial of Gog. Yes,
right. So this is where we just left off, where I'll just start in verse 14 to backtrack slightly. It says, they will be set apart men, regularly employed, with the help of a search party to pass through the land and bury those bodies remaining on the ground.
Read it again. Read it again.
It will be set apart men, regularly employed, set apart men, not just average.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Set apart meaning sanctified men?
Meaning sanctified men, meaning ones who do the law, statutes, and commandments.
Which is the reason why the provision was put there, right?
Which means Yahshua.
Which is why the provision was put there. Yeah.
So this is the thing. Even if you're not Yahshua, say you're a descendant of Japheth, you can cleave to Yahshua and obtain the same salvation.
Yes.
If you're cleaving to Yahshua, but Yahshua set apart. Yahshua isn't doing what the world is doing, because the world is going to teach us, and we're going to be, if you're in the world, you're going to be one of the people getting eaten by the birds. One day, seriously, think about this, visualize this. One day I'm going to bury you.
Hey, Betty.
Listen to what I just said. One day I am going to bury you unless you come over to Yah's team.
Ooh, I'm trembling. Ooh, the word gets so strong sometimes when you get revelation like this, you guys. Ooh, boy. Wow, hallelujah. Isn't it good to know him? Isn't it good to have a real relationship with him? My. This is why it's not a religion. This is why, because it's a real light bulb moment, a real turn on the truth. When it's time for you to receive the truth, you'll get it. And even those of us, bless our hearts, that are here that may not get it yet, oh boy, how lucky you are, because this thing will sprinkle down on you. This thing will sprinkle down on you, and I don't know whether it's going to be while you in the grocery store turning the corner, and he going to use that turn of the corner to break it down, and you're going to just say, wow, I get it. This is off the chain. Hallelujah. He is my best friend, S. Whittam says. Hallelujah. Yes, he is. He gave us provision in so many ways.
So the there's going to be search parties employed to grab up all these dead bodies, and they're going to bury them. The latter part of verse 14, at the end of 7 months, they will make a search. The search party will pass through the land, and when anyone sees a man's bone, he shall set up a marker by it till the buriers have buried it in the valley of Haman Gog. The name of the city will also be Hamanah, which is the noun form of Haman. Thus they shall cleanse the land. This is how we're going to cleanse the land, by burying everybody who opposes Yah's people.
Ooh.
So the triumphant festival. So this is a festival. So it says, as for you,
feast day.
Right. As for you, son of man, says Yah, speak to every sort of bird and every beast of the field. Assemble yourselves and come, gather together from all sides to my sacrificial meal, which I am sacrificing for you. A great sacrificial meal on the mountains of Yahshua, where Gog met up at, right? That you may feast flesh and drink. That you may eat flesh and drink blood. Talking to the birds of the air.
Talking to the birds, not people.
Talking to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field.
Not people.
Come and eat this sacrifice that I have made for you.
Drinking the blood and eating the dead meat, the flesh.
And verse 18, and you shall eat the flesh of the mighty, drink the blood of the princes of the earth, of rams and of lambs and of goats and of bulls and all of them fatlings of Bashan. You shall eat fat till you are full, and drink blood till you are drunk at my sacrificial meal, which I am sacrificing for you, the birds and the beasts, the birds of the air, beasts of the field.
That's who eats the blood, eats the meat, and drinks the
that's
blood.
Who's eating the people.
Eats the flesh of people.
These are all the people that are
going
to die. And then after the birds and the animals eat and have their fill of you, me and my brethren are going to bury your bones.
And that will be the cleansing of the land.
And you shall be filled at my table with horses and riders, verse 20, with mighty men and with all the men of war, says Yah Elohim. So this is what's going on. This is Ezekiel 39. That's the feast of the birds that we just read about in Revelation 20.
Yes, it is.
And that is prior to the 1,000-year reign. So this is speaking on Gog and Magog prior to the 1,000-year reign. But we also read in chapter 20 of Revelation, where it talked about after the 1,000-year reign, Gog and Magog made one last attempt, because for that 1,000 years they were regrouping.
And you know, it's amazing because they are, hey Anthony, they are so resilient that they continue to keep coming back. See, they do it now too. They're doing it now too. Every time we turn around, they're like the Decepticons. They keep rebuilding. You know what I mean? Transformers. They just keep going. They just keep reanimating and reinventing themselves, and they're continuous. That is the same exact spirit that you see right now today. You see that very same spirit right now today. They don't change. They don't change. They keep going. And this is the only reason why they got to be taken out, because they don't stop. They didn't learn the last time.
So this is in direct opposition to the paradigm that has been constructed for us, as far as this mental
brain massaging massaging
that the church has given it, that the establishment has given us. We think that when the kingdom comes, we're all going to heaven, and that's it.
And there's no work, and there's nothing.
But
they give you that real passive.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the world is going to continue on in outer dark. It's called outer darkness, where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. That's the world. That the world is still going to be continuing on after this event, after the birds feast event. His people are going to be in the city called, quote unquote, New Jerusalem. It is literally a golden cube that ascends from heaven. This is Revelation 21. Go read it. And his people are going to be dwelling there, and their tears are going to be wiped away and all this and that. But meanwhile, you didn't make it in, and you have to go through. That is that huge tribulation. That is that huge crazy time that's still on earth. And then it tells you afterwards, after the 1,000-year reign, then Satan is going to be released from his chains, and then there's going to be one last final coup, and then fire's going to ascend from heaven. Like, he's not even going to deal with it this go round.
There it is, Revelation 21. What verse?
Well, I was talking about just
in general. Yeah. I'm just excited. I just want to break it on down. I am. I am. Here's what you were talking about, and I saw a new heaven and a new earth. Is that what you're referring to when you said the New Jerusalem? I think that's where you were, right?
Yeah, that wasn't my focal point, but yeah, definitely.
Right.
But definitely, yes.
Just conversation. I am excited because I love when we get to break it down and just to put all the little pieces together. And in Revelation 21, verse 1, it does say, and I saw a new heaven. This is John the Revelator speaking, as we know. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down from Yah out of heaven. It's coming from one place to another, okay? Prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of Yah is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. And
Okay, so
Yah
understand
himself. Go ahead.
So understand this. It says that the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, right?
Right.
We've been
Come on.
indoctrinated to think that we go to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Heaven is coming to earth.
That's right. And it's
God
always
is going to come
said this.
with, quote unquote, God is going to come with, because it's Yah.
Right, yeah.
But the Elohim is coming to men,
That's right.
and he will dwell with them. We're not going to go dwell with him.
And even the word tells us that. Remember, Ronnie?
Yeah, constantly it tells
It tells us that. He constantly says, you know what? On earth as it is in heaven, on earth as it is in heaven, everything is. It's so amazing. And this is again how they do their word salad for us. They give us one thing and they say, this is what it means. And you're looking at it. And that's the reason why I say, then you go and you ask questions, and the people who've been indoctrinated. And I have to admit, I was one, Ronnie was one, we both taught. Okay. And not that we were one by choice. We just were one because that's what we were born into, the sin, right? So when we're looking at it, the person can't answer the question. And so you then just throw your hands up, and you either do one of two things. You throw your hands up, you still study, and here you are today, or you throw your hands up and you've just given up altogether, and now you're agnostic, or now you're atheist or whatever. But the deal is, he's telling us constantly that heaven, that the inhabitants, that he comes here on earth as it is in heaven. Okay? Wow. Oh, this is good, Ronnie.
Yeah. And the fascinating piece, and what you're highlighting, is that this tabernacle that is coming on earth. And then when you continue to read, it tells you the layout. It's a cube.
Hippocrates. Matrix is too cute. In earth as it is in heaven, just saying. That's right. You're right. Yep, that is a translation of it. You're absolutely right. But that's true, Ronnie. That's right. What you just said is absolutely correct.
So when you scroll down, it tells you the layout. It's a cube.
Yeah, it is. And okay, so you're talking about like the 12 furlong by 12 furlong.
Yeah, go to 15.
Going to 15. I'm back over here with you. There we are, 15. And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city, and the gates thereof, and the wall thereof, and the city lieth foursquare, and
Four
the
square.
length.
How many square? What, 4 square?
4 square.
Okay, that's 4 sides.
And
4
square.
And then it says what?
And the length is as large as the breadth. So
okay, so you have a length, and you have a breadth. That's 3D. That's
12,000. Yeah.
So a 3-dimensional 4 square is a cube.
That's right. 3-dimensional 4 square all day long is a cube. Period. It is what it is.
The length and the breadth are equal. That's definitely square. That's definitely a cube.
That's
if the length and the breadth are the same, that is a cube.
And he measured the city with the reed 12,000 furlongs. The length and the breadth of the height of it are equal. And he measured the wall thereof, and 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man, that is, of the angel.
Read 18.
And the building of the wall of it was of jasper. Now that's an expensive building. That beats any tower we've ever seen. And the city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. Now that is pure. That is
Okay.
pure.
So pure gold. So it's a golden cube that is descending
Descending.
from heaven to
Correct.
earth.
From the heavens. That's right. And the foundation of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second was sapphire, the third was, is it Chaldonia? Chaldonia. The fourth was an emerald, and the fifth was sardox, and the sixth was sardarius. The seventh was chrysolite. The eighth was beryl. The ninth was topaz. The 10th was chrysophorus, and the 11th was jacinth. The 12th was amethyst, and the 12 gates were 12 pearls, one solid pearl each, 12 pearls. Every several gate was of one single pearl. Can you imagine the size of the oyster that let that baby out? And the street of the city was pure gold, and as it were transparent,
So we're talking about a city of gold. We're literally talking about a city of pure gold descending from the heavens.
That's fancier than any 5-star Beyond hotel, fancier than any place in Beverly Hills. That is one beautiful place. That is the most palatial place that your eyes have never seen. Verse 22 says, and I saw no temple therein, for the Lord Almighty, I'm reading verbatim, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city hath no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of Yah did lighten it. And the Lamb is the light thereof, and the nations of them which were all saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor to it, and the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And there shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it, and there shall in no wise enter into anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life.
So this is what's going on. So this is what's going on.
Break it down. Break it down.
If you do not come to Yah and stop perpetuating the lie of the world and come back to his law, statutes, and commandments, this is as close as you will ever get to the magnificence of what the kingdom is by reading it. That's it. You're never going to obtain the kingdom. You're never going to enjoy and get to actually feel the vibrance and the awesomeness of what that is. It says no abomination is going to enter through those gates. No abomination. Abomination of desolation. It means we're desolate. That means we don't produce good fruit. We're a tree that's going to get destroyed along with the world. You will never obtain this splendor. You will never get to feel its presence and his presence if we continue, to go down the path of world. we have to come out of world, and we have to come back to the basics of Yah, and he is constantly telling us what to do and how to do it, and he's giving us a whole bunch of mile markers to warn us, hey, this is close, hey, it's getting closer, hey, it's getting closer, so on and so forth. You want to obtain it, we have to cleave to Yahshua. You want to obtain this, you have to cleave to Yahshua. There's a lot of descendants of Japheth in this world. All these descendants of Japheth are going to get eaten by the birds. And Yah's people are going to bury their bones unless they cleave to Yahshua. This is a warning. And then this is an awesome warning in the sense that he's letting you know that you can obtain the kingdom if you turn from the rich young ruler's ways and come on to the kingdom's ways. Mm-hmm. And these mile markers, as far as Gog Magog, there's like how we approached it. There's a lot of misconceptions, but these are the mile markers to let you know. Like they come together, as a
Mm-hmm.
conglomerate, as consorts, or as they lay in the same bed together. They're bed friends. But and then they get. You have to go and read Daniel 11 and Daniel 12 and
Yeah.
juxtapose it, or parallel it, cross reference with Ezekiel 38:39. It
Mm-hmm.
lets you know that there's back and forth. Like they win some, they lose some, they get
Mm-hmm.
resilient and come on back. And
Mm-hmm.
then, with fervor, the second go round, the third go round, so on and so forth. But they
Yeah.
keep on coming back until they get so haughty that they decide to trample on the mountains of Yahshua.
Mm.
And when you come around here, it's going to be a rude awakening. And that is going to perpetuate, that's going to initiate the last day. So once again, we have to align it with these feasts. You want to be in Yah's will? Start doing these feasts. The feasts puts you in Yah's will, because you're going to be at the right place at the right time. These feasts are called appointed times. Daniel 11 tells you these things. You might think it's this and that, but it's an illusion until the appointed time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's appointed times for these things. And if you use the context clues, you're going to see that these events are going to culminate to the Feast of Trumpets. So it coincides. So it's the playbook. So
It really is the playbook.
we see Gog Magog, this whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
You have to observe it and match it up with his feasts. And if it starts to line up, you need to start,
I can't say it any plainer. If it starts to line up, you need to start to hook yourself up with those feasts, because I tell you what it is. And as I'm just going to be plain, and I'm just going to say it. Live your life by his word in its totality, and hook yourself up with the feasts. Learn when his feasts are. Learn what they are. We have plenty of things in our playlist that are broken down there. Please take advantage while it is yet day. Take advantage of what's there in our playlists. You will find a lot of information. Okay, we're not perfect, but we're humans who love Yah. And we would consider ourselves your brothers and sisters. So we encourage you all to study it so that you can pull out your, and listen, every one of them that we do, we always put the passages up like this. And if we use anything outside of just the word, we put that as well. And we cite everything. So if there's ever any question, all you got to do is look it up, break it down, study it yourself. And it's a great way to study it. But it is so imperative that right now, and as much as we see all these different signs of the things that are going on in this earth right now today, one point that Ronnie made was so eloquently stated about a month ago. It doesn't matter about the mark of the beast. It doesn't matter in essence about Gog and Magog if you don't know, and if you don't have the mark of Yah on you. If you've not been living your life in a way that lines up with his will and his word, and you're not carrying out the commandments that he's given you, the statutes, and that he's given us to live for our own safety, it doesn't matter. We're just a part of them if we don't know and we're not marked by Yah. So I encourage each and every one of you who are listening to my voice right now, who's been a part of this show, who'll be watching it on the replay, from the bottom of my heart. Now, again, I always say, do not look for us to be your savior, your leaders, or your guides, or any of that. We're humans just like you. But we take the word and we, to the best of our ability, bring it to our brothers and our sisters so that they can come into the knowledge of truth as well, so you can walk this thing out. So don't look for us to be perfect, but do look for us to have the heart of Yah so that we can share his word with you. And I would just say that if you're not familiar with the feast days, do your study. Find them. If you don't understand what they are, we've got plenty of stuff on it, and we can share that with you via the things that we've already laid out. I encourage you all to stop with the mindset that the law was done away with. The lawless one wants you to believe that. If the indication, if what has been happening in the most recent past or in our life as a whole is an indication of what they do when it comes to switching up words, when it comes to, casting spells with words, witchcraft with words, and things of that nature, then please, I implore you, break it down. Why would Yah repeatedly tell you to live by his laws, statutes, and commandments, and then tell you for the generations to come? He says not only for you, but for the generations to come. And then he lays out the playbook even for the Gentile. He even lays it out for the Gentile. If that's not love, I don't know what is. But what I want to tell you is there's somebody else out there that knows this truth, and they have gone out of their way to prevent you from walking it the way he wants you to. Look at the trickery that they've used before. Look at how they've given you one thing and then they switched it up again. And you can look at them and say, but wait a minute, you just said X. Yeah, I know, but today we're doing it this way. So look at it, study it. Don't believe us. I beg you, don't believe us. Study to show thyself approved. You study so that you can make him proud of you and him alone. And then in the interim, you actually help yourself to a nice heaping dose of salvation. Ain't that the best? Ain't that the best? You can't get any better than that. Ronnie, thank you so much for coming to hang out with us. Please, please tell folks where they can look on their own in the Word and find out about the feast. So we know we've got the different feasts, and we do have one that's coming up really, really soon. Really soon. Very significant time frame that we're in right now, especially when it comes to this next one. When you consider we've got a pole shift going on, we just had a whole lot of other stuff open up. There's a lot of stuff that you guys really are going to be happy that you learned about. Ronnie, can you take that part, basically sharing where they can find the next feast? Can you tell us about that right quick?
Yes. There's many places, but you can go to, this is for starters. You can go to Leviticus 23, and it's going to give you the play-by-play as far as the feasts of Yah. Don't misconstrue them with Jewish feast days. If you read the text, it doesn't say Jewish feast days. It says feasts of Yah. These are Yah's feasts. These are not man's feasts. These are Yah's feasts that he is inviting his people to partake in. And if you're worthy enough for the call, then you will be chosen to enter into his gates, and you will have thanksgiving in your heart. You can begin to find out what these feasts are by going to Leviticus 23 and ask somebody. Dig in, seek. Don't seek surface and superficially. Dive in. Try to find the face of Yah. And I'm going to say this one more time. You want to be in Yah's will? You want to be in your Father's will? You want to be in the will of the Creator? Get in line with his feasts, and you will always be at the right place at the right time.
Hallelujah for the truth. Thank you for that, Brother Ronnie. I appreciate you for hanging out with us tonight. Oh, it's always so great. You know what? We are definitely going to lift you up. I know that there was someone, let me go right here. And I think that it was, hold on just a second here. Let me get who was it? Poppy Love? Poppy Love. We're definitely going to be interceding on your behalf. Yes, we will definitely be interceding on your behalf. Okay. You say, can you please pray for healing for me, please? Yes, we will definitely intercede for you. And I think that's so important for us to bring that to each other and say, hey, you know what? I need help. Please lift me up. Please. When you go in, please go in. That's what I think is important to do. So Ronnie, I want to thank you guys for coming in, both you and Sonia, the Man family. I thank you guys for being here tonight. And I just want to tell everybody, you know what? That man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High. You guys, please continue to take care of yourselves, okay? Take care of yourself first. Like I always say, mama and daddy, y'all got to be right. Then you can take care of everybody else, right? Yeah, that's how it works. And until we see each other again, please continue. Charlie Sigler, love you, brother. Glad you're here. Please continue to be blessed. Okay? Take care.
lOCKHART perspective.